Hello, this is Greg Allison with Green Greg. It's coming to you on 25 May 22. Time on deck is 4,400 hours Central Daylight Time. Yes, this is the wee hours of the morning. My apologies for being so late getting you a show going here, but it is what it is. It's hard for me to find time to get these things out here. Actually, I'm going to do 2 shows today. I just am challenged to do it. So, my friends, we are facing unique prospects right now of a 2-front war. Let me show you what I'm talking about, guys. I just got to show you this for you to believe it. It is over the top. So, let's have a look. I'm going to do some share screens. And we're going to look. Okay, good. I see this is working the way it used to again. Okay, very good. Royal Navy to send warships to Black Sea to break grain blockade in urgent solution. People are getting hungry, but would they really do this? Really? Let's see. We're going to take a Royal Navy or some other Navy, possibly NATO allied ships in to take on Russian ships to break a blockade that Russia has against Ukraine shipping grain out of Odessa through the Bosphorus Strait. Is that what we're talking about? That's going to go over just totally peacefully, right? And it's not going to instigate a war with Russia. So we're going to go in and have NATO ships confront Russian ships. Where could this lead us? This article, I don't know, the headline might be a little clickbaity because down below it says could send, the Royal Navy could send ships. And it talks about other potential allies and maybe even help from Egypt, because Egypt gets their grain from Ukraine. And the Egyptians are getting mighty hungry. It's believed that Egypt has been hard hit by the wheat shortage. Yeah, they're almost getting everything from there. You got to remember the color revolutions of years ago in the Mideast, where most of these started initially by inflation and particularly of food prices. And so they're going to see that a lot worse this time. So the nations there are going to be quite urgent to want to do something. Well, guys, this is not pretty when what we're looking at here. And then, as y'all might remember, I talked about this last night, and I first saw this published in the Hindustan Times. So many people said, Greg, quit getting any news from Western media. Excuse me, I don't. I was repeated that. And I just posted something on the YouTube, on a Facebook channel last night. And a guy, it's the same thing. Well, where do you get this information? It can't be true. Quit quoting Western media. I said, every word I had in that article was straight out of the Russian mouths, right out of the mouths of Russians. I quoted Russians from Russian sources. And, you know, I was like, really? Come on, guys. All right, here we are. Now I will show some Western sources tonight. But Hindustan Times. Now they use lakh for 100,000 in India. That's just one of their ways of speaking. They speak English in their articles, but when it comes to 100,000, they use the term lakh. 1.4 lakh troops. That's 140,000 troops. 953 ships. So they're talking about this elite clip, which made its way on some YouTube channel, about the they call it CPC, what we call the CCP, Communist Party of China. We call it the Chinese Communist Party. So, okay, the language here that they're using is a little different than ours, although it's still English. But they're talking about the same thing. The CCP, as we call it, had a meeting with their People's Liberation Army. And apparently a recording got leaked, which it was talking about deploying 140,000 troops, 953 ships, a number of robots and other platforms into a war to take Taiwan, as if China is jumping at the bit to do this. Now, I know some very famous demographers who saying this won't happen because China's looking at the results of what's happened with Ukraine, looking at Taiwan. It's got a motor around it, 100 miles, and Taiwan has been preparing for 70 years. And China can in no way survive the kind of sanctions we've put upon Russia, because China's far more dependent on foreign trade than Russia is, including all their root stock resources they use to build things, their energy, their minerals. So some people say China, there's no way China could do that or would do it. Yet, maybe there's something else playing in this. Maybe it's China's realizing their demographics. Maybe Xi Jinping is looking at his limited days. Maybe he's feeling a lot like Vladimir Putin. I'm at the end of my days. I got to do something. I got to do it now. Our demographics aren't favoring us. If we don't move now, we'll never get the chance. Is that what's happening? So there's kind of a force counterforce. I'm not saying it's going to be this or it's going to be that. But when you see these kind of reports coming out and supposedly slipping out, of course, this could be rhetoric. It could be another way to do propaganda, is have somebody slip out a secret report. But holy smoke, guys, this is off the top. Oh, yeah, by the way, I'm going to watch y'all screen over here in a little bit. I'm going to come back and check your chat screen. I got to get it started over here. It's late. I don't know how many people we've got tonight. Pardon me for doing this so late, but it's the only way I could get to it today. I just had other things I had to do, like go to the grocery store. Daniel Twit, how you doing, buddy? I guess I'm gonna get a lot of West Coast people on here tonight. So 53, not bad considering the time that we're in Greenland. I see you. Okay, so I'll come back to the chat room in a little bit. I'm gonna run through this. I have several websites I'm gonna share with you guys, but basically, a lot of this come out in response to the interview with Joe Biden, who was in Tokyo. And basically, Biden made a statement that if China took on Taiwan, America would respond militarily. And Biden actually came forward and said, "That's the commitment we made." This is what he said when asked if he really meant that. We agreed with the one China policy. We signed on to it, but the idea that it can be taken by force is just not appropriate. And so his response is that we will respond militarily. So he kind of broke the long-standing ambiguity on the subject matter. And so this has got the Chinese really up in arms, as you might imagine, especially after it's leaked that, hey, there's hatching plans to, in fact, take Taiwan now. Oh, yeah, by the way, guys, this really ought to remind you that right now you need to be prepping. And right now, since we're facing a potential war with Russia and China, I would say it wouldn't hurt to look at long-term food storage, stuff that's going to last 25 years. We're talking about a 3-month supply of food for this amount of money, which is not bad for 3 months of supply. It's $150 off. But the better thing is, if you don't need to use it, it'll be good 25 years from now when food is a zillion times more, if you can find it. So it's a great deal, guys. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, 2,000 calories a day. Guys, that'll make you a winner. And it's lightweight because it is freeze-dried, guys. This is the stuff, and these buckets are rugged. You see me tossing them around all the time, lightweight and rugged, guys. Don't get caught like this. I think this is coming real soon. So keep the food on the table, guys. This is the kind of stuff that you get in here. Real food, and it looks just like that when you can constitute it. And you also get some desserts, as you see, some drinks. It's a great deal, guys. 2,000 calories a day, and you can get the 3-month supply, $150 off, and you can get about, I believe it's $30 now off of a 4-week supply. Okay, enough of that. Oh yeah, if you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe, bang the update notification bell, and click all. All right, so here's some more, guys. Stumbling toward a war on two fronts. It's kind of like the title I used here. Here's someone who's really disturbed by this whole prospect, talking about bumbling Biden. And he says, are you willing to get involuntary military to defend Taiwan if it comes to that, or get involved, he says. Yeah, in which he said yes. And then he made it the commitment statement. Then the writer here goes, pardon me if I sound unduly alarmed. Yeah, well, okay, yeah, I could see where this writer is coming from. I mean, holy smoke, guys, this is a huge commitment, especially considering that they're poking the bear and the dragon at the same time, seemingly. We got to be real careful with this, guys. Well, of course, China responded. They, as you might imagine, were somewhat less than absolutely pleased. And Chinese officials threatened to take actions to safeguard their sovereignty. Of course, they consider Taiwan a breakaway republic, and they consider it to be theirs, and no one else has the right to mess with it. Even though the truth of the matter is, Taiwan is the Republic of China, which predated the People's Republic of China, which is the communist insurgency that ran them into exile. The Republic of China, Taiwan, never broke away. They were put into exile. They're not a secessionist district. I say, yeah, we should agree with the one China. Taiwan, Republic of China, that's the one China. That's how we used to recognize it. We didn't recognize the People's Republic of China for quite a long time, until Nixon years, the 70s. We did not recognize the People's Republic of China until the 70s. Okay, guys. So on issues concerning Chinese sovereignty and territorial integrity and other core interests, China has no room for compromise or concession. Well, okay. Well, you know, some of us have a hard time seeing that. But guess what? I'm going to show you demographics. If we can stay out of war, that's what I've been saying. If we can stay out of war, guys, if we can keep from going to war with Russia or China, they're going to fall apart. Demographics are not for them. It's against them. But guess what? When bumbling Biden was over there in Tokyo, the Chinese and the Russians together made a point out of having a joint military exercise on the doorstep of Japan. Chinese and Russian nuclear-capable bombers flew together on a joint aerial patrol over the East China Sea and the Sea of Japan on Tuesday. Tuesday just got done. Tuesday's gone, right? Tuesday just finished here. Tuesday's gone with the wind. In an apparent direct message to Joe Biden during his trip to Japan. So while Joe Biden's there, they do this, they stage it. So, you know, they're really trying to poke him back. So there you go, guys. Enough of that. Now, you know, I'm not a fan of Kissinger. But he come out and actually said something I've been saying for some time. So I got to put this out here. You know, guys, there are ways that we can alleviate some of this. You know, right now, apparently Zelensky was seemingly interested in a compromise until bumbling Biden called him. And Zelensky then changed his mind. Is it because of all the aid he was going to get? Because he's a puppet with strings? You know, we know the Bidens have had certain contacts in that part of the world and certain interests in it. Now, I don't know what all that amounts to, but Zelensky changed his tune. Zelensky was at one point interested in making compromise with Russia. And now Zelensky said that they're going to drive the Russians out of Crimea. Now, I've said for a long time, ever since I've had this channel and ever talked about this subject, that Russia would fight a nuclear war over Crimea. Because Crimea is one of their main warm water naval bases. Only one they got on, you know, this side of the eastern, close to the Atlantic, is, you know, Black Sea. Got to get through the Bosphorus Strait to the Mediterranean. They got to get through the Strait of Gibraltar. But Russia doesn't have any good access. They got one base, small base, Tartus in Syria, and again we attacked Syria, and then they got the Pacific. Everything else is on the Arctic Ocean, Baltics, and so forth. They have a hard time getting their navy in and out. So to them, Sevastopol naval station on Crimea is of essential purpose. That he will fight to keep that, and it is Russian, and it was Russian originally. Russia. Actually, it was given to Ukraine in the 50s by Nikita Khrushchev. Hey, we're all one big happy family in the Soviet Union. They didn't think anything would come of that. So they gave it to Ukraine. And now, but it was people there, primarily Russian. And they voted to go with Russia when Russia, you know, really tried to annex it. So I can't, you know, here's my problem. And the Donbass region, at least the eastern part of the Donbass region, the eastern part of Donetsk and Luhansk Oblast, the Russian. They want to stay Russian. They want to be Russian. They've had an insurgency, a breakaway republic. They were, had a breakaway republic in Donetsk and Luhansk, even in 1917. They didn't want to be part of the Ukraine, and Vladimir Putin put them in. Now, if you look at I think any people that don't want to be part of another country shouldn't have to be. So I will agree with these people should not be in Ukraine, and the Ukrainians, if they took them, would have their hands full because they'd always have an insurgency on their hands. And so you're just breeding the next war. So why would the Ukrainians even want somebody that don't want to be in their country? And I'd say the same thing for the Russians. Why the Russians want Ukrainians who don't want to be in their country? And maybe the Donetsk and Luhansk Oblast, which are considered republics by Russia now, do not entirely want to be in Russia either, because parts of it have fought bitterly hard not to be. Look at Mariupol, which is finally looks like it's getting taken now. But you look at the steel mills; those guys fought hard not to be in the Russian sphere. So it's not clear that those entire oblasts want to be with Russia, but at least the eastern parts do. But let the eastern parts go. Maybe you let the whole oblast vote, or maybe you divide it. Maybe there's be some negotiation over that. But I think this whole thing where Zelensky wants to take everything back is unreasonable. And furthermore, it would not, I think we really need an off ramp for Putin so he can get out of this and save some face. He really wanted to take the entirety of Ukraine, and not for the reasons stated that by some people. He did it for demographics, for strategic depth, and being able to minimize the size of borders he had to defend against NATO. So he would only have to put forces on certain gaps, which I pointed out in the previous video. That's the real reason behind this. And that reason goes back to Catherine the Great. Oh, Greg, that's not true. Well, that's exactly what Russians have talked about for hundreds of years. Because Russians have been invaded 50 times. In World War II, they lost 27 million people. So they take it seriously. And this is what their strategists will tell you is what Vladimir Putin himself has talked about for a long time. So once they started the special operation, they started throwing out other justifications, and a lot of Americans seized on that. Well, this is what it's all about. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's about strategic depth and filling those gaps. But they're not. It looks like they can't succeed with their dreams there. So I think that they need an off ramp. But saying that people that don't want to be part of Ukraine's got to be given back to Ukraine, I don't agree with that. I don't agree that Ukraine needs to be under Russia. And furthermore, for Russia to attain that strategic depth means they've got to take back most of the old Warsaw Pact countries. And a lot of you think, well, that's okay. They should. Well, I will tell you this. There are more people in those countries than there are people in Russia. So for Russia to attain their dream, they have to subjugate a population bigger than their own population. And what the heck is right about that? And furthermore, I know a lot of people from Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, especially Estonians I know. They hate Russia. And when I see in Ukraine, they're no better in that category than Ukraine. Well, yeah, them too now. I was wanting to say Poland. The people that lived under the Russians in the Soviet era do not want any part of that. They don't want anything to do. So why should they have to suffer through that? World wars are about money and power. Bill the Kid, very much. Very much. What I say, all wars are banker wars. And I have thought it out there in the past that maybe this whole thing is a play. Good guy versus bad guy. And the Schwab of Klaus might be behind it all, because all these people on both sides of this were part of his leadership clique at one time. So he may be laughing behind the scenes the whole time. Wouldn't surprise me. I don't know, guys. What do you think? I'm not saying that's the case, but it's highly suspicious, because breaking the economies of the world, breaking the food chains, breaking everything, that's what you need if you want to have a reset. It may not be so great. If you want to really, get power, You know, there was a certain gentleman named Pike. Was no gentleman actually, general, first name Albert, last name Pike. Trying not to trigger all the bells here. You know who I'm talking about. Who wrote about this stuff? And wrote about how we needed a war so exhausting, break the whole world down before we would surrender to their satanic god. So there you go, guys. There you are. Yeah, the MFers, money funders. Steffords, you are right on. How is it that you're not got a wrench? Something wrong with that. We're gonna. I do not understand that. What in the world? Add moderator. Bing. I think you were been a moderator. Somebody's still in wrenches around here. I don't know what's going on, guys. All right, so in this case, Kissinger saying Ukraine must give up land to Russia. Wants the West not to seek to humiliate Putin with defeat. Of course, what did Putin tell us? You know, what's the Russians telling us? What did I talk about yesterday? That if they're facing defeat, that it will be nuclear war. Now, do they really mean that? Is it just propaganda? Oh yeah, I have several people actually told me, and some other people that don't know my channel. It's not following my channel that well. When I posted some of these links on Facebook, oh no, where did you get that? They didn't say that. So I've included. I went back and posted videos of these people saying it out of their mouth, saying exactly what I said to say it. Because he said that, oh, they didn't say that. Oh, yeah, they did. And I posted it, videos. So, you know, guys, I mean, come on. You know me. Y'all know that I bring you truth. But some of these other folks, you know, they're just not buying this stuff, you know. So it's okay. There it is, guys. Anyway, here we go. Here's what's behind all this. Look at this, guys. Population decline in Russia. This is why Russia is in such an angst to make something happen. Their population is in decline. And Putin thinks they have no other choice because he's getting his last chance to be great, to be Peter the Great. He wants to be Vladimir the Great. The birth rate in Russia is dropping fast. It's about to drop a whole lot faster. In the last 30 years, they've actually went down some. But apparently, they're about to really drop out from 148.2 million to 146.1 million. You know, 30 years. This is after the fall of the Soviet Union. You'll think that after 30 years, your population may be going up, but no, it's dropping. And it's about to really start dropping. So Putin tried to all kind of enticements to get his people to have more kids. They didn't work. So this is what's talking about. Financial aid programs, blah, 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 all kind of bonuses. Didn't work. Same thing is happening in China. It's not working. I remember reading this for some time when Putin was trying these things, and it was to no avail. So in his mind, the power of a country is linked to the size of its population. Well, it is to some degree. So how much cannon fodder do you have, huh? Terrible way to look at it, but that's one dimension of it. No trust, no babies. So it's hard to think you'll be having babies just to make cannon fodder, but you know that's how the world leaders are. You know, they don't care. This is the demographic pyramid, if you will, of Russia. It should be typically. It used to always be a pyramid, but now it looks more like a tree with a narrow, skinny trunk, some kind of a coniferous tree, coniferous. And this side is male and this side is female. Oh yeah, noticing the big disparity in Russia between males and females. Guys, if you're looking for the ladies, go to Russia. Lots of ladies up here in this category. Anywhere from about 38 up, there's more women than men. But the women over here don't even want the men that are over here, even at this age, because there are so many alcoholics in it. But on the other side, it's kind of like in Alaska too. Hey, I love Alaska, but I'll tell you what, if you're a good straight guy and you're sober and you go over there in any age group, you can get any of these women if you're a guy. And the women in Russia down in this age group, they're beautiful, but up here, they don't care. They lose all interest in maintaining beauty. Usually, there's some, but you know that's not the point of this. The point of this is this group up here is aging, and they're going to have to be cared for in a few years. This is the people that are you know in retirement age right here, and all these are about to retire right here, and it's got to be supported by the small population down here. And they've cut the education and a lot of essential services like that out in Russia some time back. So this population is not as educated as this population. They're going to have a harder time supporting them. And look what's happened. So these are the guys in their 20s. They should be having kids. But these guys are the ones in their 30s right here. So you're getting up into the, I guess, 40s right along here. I should put my glasses on so I can see this a little better. All right. So, yeah, 40 is right here. So these are the people that already had or are having kids the most, but they're not having kids. These are the kids they're having the least. What happens when these guys are suddenly in charge of having kids? Yeah, I was thinking this is going to be a very narrow trunk. Russia's in trouble, but they say China's in even more trouble. But the Chinese, this size up here is even more of a bulk. So the demographics of Russia are looking really bad for the country in the long run. And this is, oh yeah, the school shootings. We'll talk about that at the end here. That's a real tragic thing, guys. Very tragic. The whole world's going nuts. Yeah, I will pick that up as a topic a little bit. This is China. This is China just in 1953. This is China when I was 4 years old. A pyramid with lots of youth, a lot of labor coming into the market. All right, it started neck down in 82, but these were still really young people that were going to be coming to the market, and even right here in 1990. So you had a lot of people in the consumption part of the economy. But by the year 2000, something odd happened in China. A sudden huge, even though they had the one-child policy from way back here, this is where it really started taking effect. And they tried to reverse the one-child policy, but it has not helped at all. It's still getting narrower and narrower in terms of the number of people in China, to the point that now this is what they're looking at for 2030. Extremely narrow trunk, huge overweight up here. I'm seeing a lot of demographic data. I know some top demographers are saying that China will be lucky to survive to the end of this year. Now, I think that's been a little bit out there, but in 10 years from now, China is going to be in severe trouble. Very severe trouble. For one thing, the Chinese labor rate has increased 16-fold, and their productivity has only been 2 or 3 times up. China is no longer the cheapest producer in the world. When you consider that you got to ship stuff so far and they're bringing in their energy, actually America can produce cheaper than China now. So China has lost the competitiveness to be the world's factory, and they're showing themselves to be unreliable as the world's factory when they shut everything down for months on end because they can't fight a bug. So China is losing it, guys. Plus people don't want to deal with China because of their policies, the way they treat the Uyghurs, the Tibetans, and everybody else except their own people, the way they treat their own people too. So China is losing it, guys. So this is what we're looking at. Oh yeah, this is one of Mayo's great die-off programs right here. That's what that neck is representing right there. Great leap forward, which was a great leap backwards. A lot of people died in China, thanks to Mao Zedong. But guys, this is very similar to what you see in the Russian curve, but it's a lot worse. This is the guys that's supposed to be having all the kids, and they're not. So, and Chinese are showing less and less interest in having kids than ever before. So Chinese, now here's the United States by comparison. We are narrowing down a little bit too, but not nearly as bad. It's kind of straight. And what's kept ours kind of straight, for better or for worse, has been somewhat immigration. So the United States, European countries look a lot like Russia and China. But China is supposedly the fastest aging country in the world. So China is going to have more trouble than anybody. Now you go to countries like Nigeria, Kenya, Philippines, they look more like this. Their bells more favor this shape right here, which means that at least demographic wise, if they can straighten out their internal politics and graft and corruption, those countries could be the superpowers of tomorrow. I would expect Kenya and Tanzania, not Tanzania, they pronounce it Tanzania over there, might link up and become an Eastern African superpower. Nigeria could even pull some of that off. Nigeria is rich in energy. So, who are the future superpowers? Maybe India. Could the Philippines pull it off? Philippines has got to, have some good basics if they can fix some of their problems. And that's the way it is in any of these countries. So And I think America, if we can survive the next 10 to 20 years without getting into war with Russia, China, we've got a bright future. We can pull this stuff out. If we can contain ourselves and not just get rid of our liberties, if we can keep our liberties. Okay, guys, enough of all that. I am going to stop this share. In fact, I'm going to bring that down, stop share. Hello, how's everybody doing? So I'm going to talk about some of our other more domestic challenges. You know, I believe in freedom. And it really just irks me when people do irresponsible things that make people want to take my freedoms from me. It especially irks me when they're hurting innocent people. That young people should suffer, anybody should suffer at any age, needlessly, at the hands of somebody who's gone crazy and taking people out is horrible. That it would be the youngest of us is the worst I can imagine. So what's happened is heinous. There's no other way to look at it, but why did it happen? There's, you know, and I'm not sure I'm pronouncing this right. Uvalde, Texas. You know, we had that event. It's thought now that there's 21 that's passed away, including a teacher, fourth grade teacher. I'm about elementary school. The individual who apparently did this was supposedly Salvador Ramos, a high schooler, just turned 18, apparently. Why? Why? What God's green earth got into this guy? There were warning signs. He apparently posted this to some social media type, but social media types, you know, we get so much stuff. They might not have been able to process or seen it or understood it or didn't even know who he was or how to react to it. There were probably other warning signs, but he took out his grandma first. Did she raise him, or were his parents? So you got to wonder that. Where was this guy's parents? Did she raise him? Did she try to raise him right and he just couldn't handle it because of social pressures, peer pressures? Or we've allowed our society to break down. So it's a lot of what's wrong today. You know, a family is a mother and a father with kids with an extended network, extended family network. Kids need good role models. They need both a strong father and a strong mother. Kids that come from families with strong fathers and strong mothers tend to be just go to the classrooms and see the kids from single parents families. A lot of you are single parents, and it's hard to deal with. I have myself been a single parent. I've been a Mr. Mom. I raised a couple of kids, but you know, at least Mama, and including both times I had kids and we've separated, Mama and I work together with the kids very close. But that's the exception. It's not the rule. Parents need to resolve, if they do dissolve, to work together for the interest of the kids and not play the kids against the other parent. That's petty, childish games a lot of adults play. It's horrible that some people stoop to that level. You're hurting the kids. You might be trying to serve your own little wants, but you're hurting the kids. That is petty, childish behavior that a lot of so-called adults these days participate in. My kids all grew up and became successful. But they did it because they had love from mama and daddy, strong love. And, you know, a lot of dads, oh, mama's got the kids. Now my hands are free and I can go do whatever I want to do. Are you kidding me? If that's your attitude, you need to be chained to a post. I got something for you. Really, don't abandon your kids. What are you? Your kids are your future. And I'll say the same thing to mamas. And mamas and daddies that leave their kids to the grandparents, those kids have been abandoned, neglected. They've been told the world didn't want them. And grandma and grandpa sometimes are having a hard time raising these kids. They do it because they love them, out of love. They try their best, but sometimes it's tougher when you get older to raise your kids' kids. You know, the scourges of our society leads to a lot of this, the drugs, the violence, the lack of morals. And, morals predated the religions we have today. I mean, people, just cohesive society dictated you had certain morals. You'll find that in societies from the Romans, the Greeks, all societies had some moral code. If you had a society, and if it was a coherent society and surviving society, you had to have some code to live by, or you were nothing. So, this is not just a thing for any one religion. This is just the way it is. We need to have morals. But the first and foremost thing is to put the kids first. We've become the me generation. We didn't care for the kids enough, and many people. I did mine, but a lot of people didn't. And and now we're paying for it. We're paying dearly. So these kids have felt rejected. Often a single parent has a hard time. They still got to make a living. They got to go out and work, and there's nobody else in the house to look after the kids. The kids are being raised by the school system. Our school system comes with an agenda. It's also anti-family, anti-American, anti-everything. It's good, it seems. That's what it seems like. But that's not always the case. There's some mighty good teachers out there that try their best, but they're told what to teach and how to teach it. They don't have a lot of freedom. A lot of them get frustrated over that and quit. But school systems today shouldn't be the parents of our kids. Who else do our kids return to? Each other. Our kids are being raised by each other, basically in gangs. They have no good role models to follow, no father figures, no other figures. Mama and dad, if they have one or the other, are caught trying to do everything by themselves and working, making a living. And, trying to get kids raised, but they can't really do it. So it's a sad thing. Yet we need the kids. We need kids in our society just to keep things moving and going forward. But so that's one of the things where we fail. And another failure is, in our modern world and society where, families moved all over the country to chase jobs. And that's one of these probably things started breaking up too. But we lost our extended families. When I was a kid, you might get mad at your mama or your daddy, but there was always that favorite aunt who always doted on you, or that uncle, or your grandma or a grandpa that you would not want to embarrass. You would not go out and do something really stupid because you're going to think, well, what would grandma think? Great grandma, uncle this, aunt so and so. There's always somebody that doted on you that you wouldn't want to disappoint by being stupid, by going out in society and doing something heinous, crazy. That don't exist, barely. Some places it exists, and in some places it's just tenuous. It's not like it used to be. We've lost that. Yeah, some people say, well, it takes a village to raise a kid. No, it takes a family to raise a kid. The village don't have the same vested interest. That's what we got raising kids today, and look what we're getting. Kids with no compass, no anchor. They're hurting inside. They're hurting inside. And what else happens? All these kids become bullies. And most of the time when you see a case where something like this happens, the kid who starts it was bullied. Look at Columbine. Their classmates bullied them. Bullying is bad. People get caught in a psychosis when they're constantly dumped on by individuals. Now, the way they reacted was not right, but it was there was a source that got that consternation going. The interesting thing I find in the articles about this kid is, oh, he was a quiet kid. Well, why would he do this? He was a quiet kid. Excuse me? It's always the quiet people. You got to be kidding me. I'm a loud guy. I get in all kind of trouble because I'm loud. I mean, I working. I already got fired for being loud, talking loud, because people were scared. Loud people ain't gonna do nothing to you. We blow our steam off. If we get steam, it's gone. We blow it out. It's the quiet guys. Explode. They keep it in. They're like that pressure cooker that's kept, has no vent, no relief. And one day they just become unglued. They explode. They were quiet. It's always quiet. And one day they go boom. It's the quiet people. That's who does these things. Why is it even today, after decades of it always been the quiet people, you find these stupid articles, but he was a quiet guy. I mean, that's what it says in this article I got right here. Really? Really? Of course he was a quiet guy. The loud guy never does this kind of thing. Come on. Jeez. Anyway, that's why nobody learns, and that's why we don't fix things, because we're always looking at the wrong places, because our psychologists and our teachers don't know diddle about anything, apparently. They can't learn from history because they don't study history. They're only interested in looking at their own navel buttons or TV or games. Come on, guys. Jeez. Salvador Ramos. What I don't get, though, you know, why did he turn against the little ones? What didn't this take place in the school that he went to? Maybe he had bad memories, especially in that school. I don't know. Just sick. The guy was sick. He needed help. Maybe he could have been turned around if there was just somebody there that was more observant. When I was in school, I noticed what the teachers care about. They didn't care about the kid that was suffering, the kid that was put down. They cared about the kids whose parents were doing well in the community, because they wanted to look good. They wanted to be Mr. Uppity Up. So a little depressed kid over here didn't get any attention. Little kid over here didn't get any attention. They were walked on quite often by the teachers and put down by the teachers too, just like the other kids bullying. Teachers bully the same kids that the other kids bully quite often. They're just as guilty. Yeah. So this examination needs to go beyond just teaching kids not to bully. It starts with the teachers and the parents. But there's also parents that don't want, to discipline their kids. You need to take another look at yourself, because your kids are the worst ones in the school systems. Yeah. When I was in middle school, I remember this kid, first time I ever saw, kids get lit up when I was in school. Teachers would wear your rear end out. Some of the best teachers I had were the ones that wore my rear end out the most, and that's the ones I appreciate the most to this day. I don't have anything against them. They did their job. I'll tell you what I didn't like. One kid, the biggest bully in my class. He was meaner than a rattlesnake. He was just downright mean. He would go around and just beat people up just because he could. He thought it was funny. Well, the teacher gave him a paddling. His parents came to school. His parents told the teacher, their principal, we're going to sue you. If you take our little Johnny is a good boy, you leave our little Johnny alone. Wasn't his name. I'm just using the euphemism here. We'll sue you. Yeah, well, they threatened him. This kid walks in the hallway, or in the bathroom, actually, bragging about it. Ha, ha, ha. And he hauled off and slugged another kid hard as he could. See, they can't do nothing to me. That's when I decided right then that somebody need to take his parents and tie them to a tree with a horse whip and tear them up. So when I was a middle school kid, that became my resolve. That made me mad. And I was mad at the parents of that kid. I've seen that so much. Now, some of you may think that was the way to be. You may not understand what's happening with your kid in the school. You think your kid's great. Maybe not. You need to go back and take a second look at this stuff. You come to you and maybe they act great. You don't know what's happening in the school. So, spare the rod, spoil the child. I believe that. Don't mean you should go crazy with the rod. No, it should be very metered and administered without emotion. Very metered. Of course, all right, now some of you are probably mad at me now. All right, now that I've laid that out there, it's a tragedy what's happened. It's sad. I really feel for all these people who lost their kids. It's a horrible thing. As a parent, that's just, how do you even want to live when something's happening to kids like that? I mean, that's just devastating. If somebody did that with my kids and they were still alive, why did this happen? See, they don't ever get to the root, really go down to the root causes of these things. They just paper it over, smooth it over. They satisfy themselves, they get some little answer, superficial little nonsense answer to these problems. That's all they ever come up with, superficial nonsense answers. And that's why the stuff keeps happening. But then we're going to blame it on the nugs. No, the problem is in society. The problem isn't the tool, it's the people. This kid had some grievous problem. Now, maybe it was genetic, maybe he was wired wrong. But could this have been treated? Could it have been prevented? Could it have been seen? Like I said, a lot of the parents, a lot of the teachers and school administrators are more concerned about sucking up to the rich kids' parents. They don't care about this poor little kid over here. That poor little kid. He's been raised by his grandma. Who was he? Really? He was a kid, a human being, born with 100 billion brain cells. He might have been an Einstein. He might have been a Shakespeare. He might have been a Beethoven, great poet, a statesman. He might have been taken down a totally different path in his life, but he was ignored and abused and not nurtured properly. He went down the wrong road. Sometimes we all stop and think about ourselves. Why don't we go down the right road? If we did, did we veer off? If so, when and where and why? How could that have been fixed? What can we do to prevent this? We need to take a whole lot better look. And how do we fix our society? We can't put together all these broken relationships, maybe, of parents and adults. Why can't parents and adults work together at least for their kids, instead of playing petty games against each other? You're hurting your kids when you do that. We need to start thinking about working together for the sake of the kids. I know some of your grandparents and you're raising your grandkids and doing a swell job of it, but it's a challenge. I knew a black lady from Jamaica who raised 4 boys in the Bronx all by herself. That's usually when a mama's raising boys, she's got her hands full, and usually they go bad, especially in a place like that. Our boys, every one went to college and became outstanding citizens. It can be done, but she had a strict hand. She was very strict, but she loved them. They knew she loved them. She gave them tough love. That's what we're missing in our society today, is tough love. Tough love is what we need. Oh, we can't be tough. If you're not tough, you don't love. You're letting that kid go whop. As a gardener, what do you do with your plants if they come out of a greenhouse before you put them in a garden? You put them in some halfway place so they can harden off, so they can start getting exposed to the wind, the rain, the sunlight. You don't put them right out in the garden. If they do, they die. See, that's what we've done with our kids. We've sheltered them, we've coddled them, we have not given them the tough love, and then we thrust them in society, and they don't know how to react. They're suddenly they get beat by the rain, the wind, and the sun. They're not cultured. We're not helping them. We're hurting them. It's just like physical training. You're going to be, you don't sit on the couch all day long, and then tomorrow you're a Olympics athlete. It takes training, work. That's how we've got to grow people up. That's how we have to mature people. That's why a lot of so-called adults today are not really grown-ups. Or maybe they're grown-ups, but they're not adult. There's plenty of people in their 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. They're still kids. I got a friend, older than me. I think he's like 10 years old. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about, guys. We've got to get serious and start addressing the social issues in our society. It's not a left thing. It's not a right thing. It's got nothing to do with whether you're Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, or whatever. It has nothing even to do with your religion so much, although faith is a good anchor. But it's got to do with morals. It's got to do, which the best enforced through faith. It's got to do with morals. It's got to do with family. It's got to do with tough love. Having the right resources. 2 parents, a mom and a dad. Each brings a different element that a kid needs to grow. A boy needs a mama and a daddy. A girl needs a mama and a daddy. Maybe for different reasons, because they're each going a little bit different way, generally, except the day where everything is this part of it. Who am I? Where am I? What am I doing? There's no point in life. Everybody's mean to me. Everybody is just dumped on me and tore me apart all my life. The whole world's mean and terrible. That's a lot of people actually believe the whole world's mean and terrible. A lot of it is. But there's also a lot of good in the world. They don't see it because they haven't seen it. So they get developed bitterness and hatred to the world. Why do they take it out on kids? That's sick. Maybe demonic. Demons out here and all this? Maybe. I don't know, guys. All right. I've got a lot longer than I meant to. I got a lot to do. Brain ain't mature until 30. You're right, Daniel. And you don't even, the part of your brain that does the morals is your frontal lobes. And it doesn't start stirring into your 20s. This is why back in the Dark Ages, so-called Dark Ages, the medieval period, life expectancy was like 25. Kings were in their 20s. And they were ruthless. They were mean. They fought. Did all kind of horrible things to each other because they didn't have that morality. But see, we're letting our kids raise the kids. We're letting the gangs raise the kids. That's what they did before. We don't have anybody else to go to. People have a need to have people have a yearning to belong. If there's no family for them to belong to, they're going to go join a gang. They'd rather be in a gang than nothing, even if a gang has really hard entrance criteria. But this is where we're letting our society go to heck in a handbasket. We got to get out of this if we're going to survive and prosper. We can't. But it takes, some of us have got to be beacons of light and spread this message I'm talking about. We got to start talking it up, talking to each other and say, this ain't right. This ain't the way to live. And we need to do something about this. And maybe when you see those parents who are acting juvenile and playing their kids against each other, you need to stop, pull them aside and say, what you're doing is terrible. It's the worst thing you could possibly do. That's a horrible thing to do. Just call them out for it. Say, look, you need for the sake of your kids to go work with that person. You may not like them, you may hate them, but that's immaterial. It's about your kids. They need both of you. Even though that person might stink like a smelly fish, as long as they're not doing stuff immoral to that kid, if they're halfway trying, they need them. Of course, we do have issues, our problem in our society. There's many people strung out on drugs and crime, and it's horrible. We've got to get out this stuff out of our society. Guys, our society's been wrecked. We got to start fixing this wreck. That's what I'm saying. All right, let me see what everybody's had to say. I don't know if I can't read all these messages tonight. It's 1:30. I still got to water microgreens. I got a lot of stuff to do. We got a late start here. My apologies. Ivan, 100%. Let's see. We got 114 in the room. Wow, that's amazing considering how late it is. How many thumbs up we got? Only 82. Hey guys, maybe some of you don't agree with me tonight. Maybe that's why I think it's usually thing people just aren't thinking of giving me a thumbs up. Guys, I need help with the Algor rhythm. So the Algor has no rhythms. So let's see. I'm gonna go down here to the bottom and come up with this morals thing. This is the one where it's the most testy thing I've said in a long time. See what everybody thinks. I'm gonna start from the bottom. It was Arnold Smith. I think he agrees with morals. Remember that God sees everything, be good or be bad. We all have 3 choices to make, but be wise and choose good. There you go. Granny said, Granny deleted because it's so painful. Oh, Granny, what happened there? Delete something, somebody else. Oh, you deleted something you said. Guys, I hope I'm not, convicting you too much of the things I'm saying. That's not the intention here. I'm just trying to wake everybody up. I know Granny is raising kids, grandkids. Exactly, Gigi. My kids know I love them and know what I expect. Okay, see, that is the key. A lot of people don't tell their kids what to expect. With my kids, they knew what was going to get them the corporal punishment. I had put out guidelines. Let's get you 1 lick. Let's get you 2 licks. Let's get you 3 licks. Repeated offenses were the worst thing. It was a metered response. It wasn't some emotional whatever. And my kids always knew I loved them. What broke up see, I've been married 3 times. First wife, I had 2 kids by. Second wife, I wanted to have a kid. I'm so glad I have a kid with her. This woman wanted me to tell my kids to go live with their mama. It's like, really? You want me to go to my kids and tell them I don't love you, go live with your mama? That's I don't love you. If you just go say, go live with your mama, you're essentially doing that. Don't ever reject your kids. The fact that the person I was married to asked me to reject my kids, that was over. That was over. I can't believe she had the gall to ask me that. Could not believe it. She had 2 kids, and I treated her kids just like they were mine. And for that to be her response, she was so petty. That blew my mind. Oh my gosh. It's like, really? You've got to be kidding me. You asked me what? Excuse me? Well, she also had a volcanic temper. Oh my gosh. Which she hid until after we got married, but hey, wow. Lots of stories I could tell on that. So FBI, the FBI runs the ops. That's how they always know. Just catching a few things. I'm going from the bottom up because my ex don't know our kiddos. That's so sad. That is so sad. Well, you can't force them into it. I mean, you might get them aside and talk to them if you can and catch them. I don't mean it's going to sink in their gray matter. These days, so many people are so immature, so me. We were taught to be me in the 60s. That's what society raised us to be, me. That's the way it was emphasized. Well, yeah, it's all about you. It's the me generation. There's several me generations, actually. It started with my generation, the baby boomers, unfortunately. Fortunately, we didn't all drink that Kool-Aid, I don't think. Maybe not as much. This is what Rhonda was talking about. I see. Where's Rhonda's piece? So many days respond to Rhonda, but I don't see Rhonda's comment. Oh, there it is, Rhonda Park. I was abused and tortured almost to death as a kid. That happens, and that is really sad. So I never hit my kids, and they abused me daily. Well, see, that's also a part. Abuse is not punishment. Corporal punishment is not abusing your kids. If you are abusing your kids, you're wrong. That's why I said it has to be metered and without emotion. Child abuse is that's a crime. But see, a lot of people don't understand the difference, that dividing line between corporal punishment and child abuse. There is a line. There is things you do that are metered. You also got to realize the size of the kid. You don't take a belt to a 2-year-old, okay? It's more the hand. And it's like with a dog on a newspaper. A newspaper does not hurt a dog. Oh, it thinks it does. It hurts his feelings. When you take a newspaper to a dog and they think you beat them with a 2x4. It doesn't physically hurt them. You don't want to do psychological damage to your kids. And the worst psychological damage that people do, adults and teachers even to this day, is they tell kids what they're not about, what they can't do, what they're not capable of, or you're not smart, or you're not this. Don't ever tell a kid that. That is worse than hitting them with a 2x4, probably. You tell that kid they can be anything they want to be. They got to work for it. It don't come to them. They got to work for it, but they can be anything they want to be. You tell them they got 100 billion brain cells. Just as much. Any kid's got just as much as another. And sometimes that kid, that poor family on the other side of the tracks, is the one that's going to come across and shine like a pretty new penny, way beyond the other ones that had it all handed to them. Especially if they realize their potential and they can have it if they work for it, if they're not sucked into the gangs. They're given some hope, a sense of purpose, but they got to have goals. So goals are the most important things for kids. Get goals, aspirations. They may change as they grow up, that's fine. But to have goals is important, something to go toward, something positive. More punishment, it's just a little bit of reinforcement, that's all. Not all kids require it. I think my oldest daughter, I only swatted her one time her whole life, and you would have thought that was a capital offense to her. This is a kid that only cried like 2 tears in her whole childhood. She was so intent on pleasing. And it was so stark to see her cry a tear. I took a picture both times. 1 tear. Her brother, by comparison, when he was going all the time. They're both good kids. They both grew up and became outstanding adults, okay? Both of them. And my youngest child, she's outstanding adult too. So she's kind of in between the other two. Kind of like me, my brothers were opposite spectrum, and I was somewhere in the middle. So daylight and dark. My oldest brother, you couldn't, he was like a duck, nothing bothered him at all, roll off his back. The other brother was like a volcano with a hair trigger. Like my second wife. Holy smoke. Usually bullies are bullied at home. Granted, that's true. Or they've been bullied somewhere. There's a generational aspect of this. We got to find a way to break that. Child abuse is generational, usually. Especially if it's in the sexual department, from what I hear. These are things we got to break these cycles. But you don't break it by swinging the pendulum to the other extreme on sex abuse. No way under any circumstance. But I'm talking, like I said, people got physically abused, like Rhonda, who suddenly did not want to discipline her kids, but she equated that with physical abuse to find her kids abusing her, because her kids were not disciplined. Discipline and abuse is 2 different things. Lack of discipline is abuse. Quote me on that. A lack of discipline is abuse. Big time. It's actually very heinous abuse. Because you left a person now into this open loop in society. They don't know how to contain themselves. They're going to hurt themselves and people around them. Because they didn't get the kind of reinforcements they needed growing up. Now, you didn't give them that because you thought it was wrong. So I can understand that. I'm not blaming you. What I'm trying to do is paint perspective here for people to use going forward. We've got to sharpen our minds and consider things in more measured doses. Don't ever just hit a kid. No, that's abuse. Things have to be measured. They got to know where you stand. They got to know what the rules are, what the guidelines are, and don't just make stuff up or change all these things willy-nilly. It can't be based on emotion. It's got to be based on a logic. Emotional animals, but some things we got to back away from. And that very much fits in the world of discipline. And that is the discipline of discipline, is taking the emotion out. You got to be a little bit Spockian with it. So I'm going to roll up a little bit more. I knew this over 2 years, shaking my head. All right, Jonesy, what did you know over 2 years? How to garden. Energy grows where attention flows. That's true. Want a song. Okay, want a song. Want a song? So way over the rainbow. Green Gregs can't sing. Just say, I'm easy a Sunday morning. I like that there. My back hurts. All right. They don't teach personal responsibility. Bingo. That's one of the biggest problems. Do have personal responsibility. Yeah. Why don't they teach that? Because they don't want people being responsible. They want the government to be the responsible. Yes, Uncle Sugar, you are our Lord. You are our Savior, Uncle Sugar. That's the government. When we say Uncle Sugar, that's a military term we used to use. As military, we call the government Uncle Sugar. Gee, I grits and gee, I gravy. Gee, I wish I'd join the Navy. Let's see. It's always the kids that eat all the pain silently. Yeah, Jason, that's it. That's it. And, you know, any human being's got a limit, honestly. You know, you develop a psychosis or something, may not be the right term. I'm not a psychologist, but you develop an imbalance over time if you're just constantly being washed over with the same stuff. Like Chinese water torture. It is a torture. People get constantly bullied. It just builds up. Festers up. They don't have some outlet for it, like being a loudmouth, which everybody's afraid of. One day that kettle is going to blow its lid. Sad times. Yeah, Wise Al, we're talking sad times here. So on the park, everything is now racist, Satan, accuser, the greatest divide on earth. They are abusing. Well, there's a lot of hate is not good in any direction, guys. The answer to all this is love. Lucid Farms, discernment and intuition. You know, discernment. That's wisdom, guys. Ladison Kravitz says hi. Morals and values and integrity. Yeah, see, these things matter, guys. They matter. We try to act like it don't matter. It does. All right, you know what? I've been going for a long time. We're down to 110 in the room. I only got 105 thumbs up. Okay, guys, help out, would you? For something you don't like about what I'm saying, put it in the chat. If you disagree with me, anything I've said tonight, put it in the chat. Put it in the live chat. Let's see it. Mind control. You know, that's what the government wants to put us on. So let's see. Evil. She'll mean not good. Let's see. Yes, Greg, the biggest problem is the ideology the U.S. has been exporting for the past 20 years. Yeah, we're guilty of some bad stuff there. I'm at the top of the chat. Okay. Nigeria got population the size of Russia. They do. They do. That's why I say Nigeria may be a superpower. If they can get their act together, they absolutely could be. They could be the future manufacturer, the future world's factory for a while. Tanzania, Kenya, those two countries could link up and be a powerhouse. Time for Mars base. Amen, Jason Smith. Time for a Mars base. Or how about Venus? Venus is actually easier to get to. And I submit at the 50-kilometer altitude, it's got Earth gravity and Earth-like temperatures. In your house, if you hermetically sealed it, would float because the atmosphere is so dense. So Venus may be a far better place to settle. Let's see, Ivan. Will they lock us down, or will we comply and lock ourselves? Well, I did a video just a few days ago about the so-called treaty and the regulations for that little group that's having a meeting right now. Pay attention to that. I need to get Greg back on the channel here. All right, let's see what you guys are saying. Hey there, still Roz? All right. Give me freedom or give me death. There you go, brother kid. I haven't watched TV for 15 years, says Prayed today. Hey, good for you. I'll settle for a city on Titan. Well, that'd be interesting. Take a while to get out there, Jason, but that's cool. City on Titan. Oh yeah, monkeypox. You know, it's unless they have done some gain of function stuff in the factory, which is possible. But yeah, look out. It's not as infective. The infectivity of it seems to be a lot lower. Like you got to have close contact with somebody practically. Although maybe sneeze droplets might carry it. Apparently, you got to have direct contact with somebody to get this stuff. So it may not be as effective. So, you know, before you're rubbing up on somebody, you might want to make sure they don't have a pox upon them. So that's one way to control it. Although the fatality rates are on the lower side, 1%. The worst strains are up to 10%. That's horrible. Either one is higher than the recent bug that went around. 1% is higher. Let's hope, though, that it's not that infective. And then I'm thinking, unless I see something else, I'm not going to get that worried about this one. And the time may come, but it could be used as a power play because the event's cooking right now by the OHW. Flip that around like a nug, right? So I'm saying the little regulations, pandemic related, and so-called treaty, which apparently is just a distraction because the real work is the regulations are changing. So said Rogoski, that I had on my channel a few days ago. I need to get him back. They need teachers that are, yeah, I believe that. We need that in the schools. Guys, when I went to school, we all took notes to school. All the guys in high school, we had them in our cars, and we had a rack in the back. I took ones I built, show and tell, walking down the hall. Nobody thought anything about it. But this kind of stuff didn't happen back then. These things only happen in places where you're not allowed to carry them. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? There you go, Ivan. Y'all got a handle in the panhandle. Bill the Kid, I understand what you're saying. I can't repeat that because this platform will probably knock me out if I repeated that. But I definitely get where you're coming from. I'm going from the top to the bottom now, by the way. Look at the comments. I'm going to have to skip to them. Jeremiah. Man, don't use the Be careful what words you use. My grandfather and grandmother had to get permission from the court to get divorced. My ex-wife took my children, had them lie to me, and then the court turned on me. That's what happens these days. That is what happens. And it's stacked against guys, really, guys. What can we say? So a lot of guys are, come up with MGTOW, men going their own way. It's like, hey, I had enough of it. We just won't have anything to do with it. Heck with it. Because, litigious society, man's putting in a lot of risk when he gets in a relationship. A lot of risk. A lot of risk. I am a helicopter mom. My kids are raised the old-fashioned way. There you go. Live your life. Stepford say would eliminate emotions. Emotions are important, but you got to meter the application of them. Love is the most important emotion. Hate is a horrible emotion. As in the days of Noah. Amen. We can't even really talk about what's at the root of this nonsense. With Jason on this platform, probably not. I'm so trying to be so careful with how I word things here. Yep. Yeah, it's okay for them to indoctrinate their children. But we have to be so careful what we say. They can tell them whatever they want to tell them. Jeez. See what I'm talking about? You want to look. Right, Granny. My experience in school wasn't that great, guys. I'll tell you, it really wasn't. Schools are communist and indoctrination centers that teach. Yeah, that's what Lisa, that is too close to being true. Quantum grammar. Follow David Lynn Miller, phrase syntax, quantum grammar. But you say the bees, she's been natural consequences are planned ahead and done consistently. Okay. No, we didn't advocate a quick smack out of anger. There you go. Nothing wrong with applying consequences versus paddling. Okay, yeah, and there's many ways to have other consequences. Yeah, don't have to be paddling. There's many other things that can be applied. Although I'll tell you though, if one kid was being violent toward the other, like trying to fight them, the corporal punishment would be a hand or a belt, depending on the size of the kid. We're under attack as a country and people. Amen. Well, they don't like us, apparently. Boogertown. Well, hello, Madam and Gross. Good to see you here from Boogertown, Tennessee. Corrupt the innocence. All right, I'm just reading through some of these notes. Teaching their children at school to, Rhonda, you're really kind of onto it. That's what all these video games do. All these video games are awful. They're really awful. Glorify violence. Let's see. Our society, let's just say. Part of it. Our society has become ageist. I saw a commercial on TV that stated, someday you will notice a trip to grandma's doesn't count as a real vacation. Wow. toxic food, blood, brain chemistry, toxic exposure to the environment, fluoride, pesticides, microplastics, herbicides, pharmaceuticals, heavy metals, hormonal imbalances, leading to the many issues today. Well, lucid farms, you're on to it. Psychotropic drugs they give in schools has got to be added to that matrix. That may be the problem with this kid. Yeah, we are being filled with plastics and poisons in our environment. And the psychotropic drugs also, don't forget that. They want to hand those out like candy. He may be possessed. North Shore, smartest person in the room, never says a word. That's the one to watch out for. How you doing, North Shore? Yeah, that's typically true. Yeah, I might be in trouble for saying what I've said on this platform tonight. I don't know. I'm trying to be very metered in what I'm saying here. What we're going to go with this. Also, cleaners, detergents, soaps, lotions, perfumes, air fresheners, all toxic. Well, you are right on that. They are. Camo underwear. Everyone I went to school with knew I was trained in karate, so they left you alone. Nippy F4L, I guess it means for real. I ain't mad, I agree with you. He is mad at me. Oops. If the parents aren't right, the kids will be off too. Well, there's that. You got to start this somehow. We need to have a school for parents to learn how to be adults and then parents. Yep. All those first person bang bang computer games. Daniel Twitt said it right there. Desensitizing and dehumanizing. It also glorifies that mess. You're right. That's part of it, Daniel. That's always an 18-year-old. I guess 18, they're say some kids get to try and they get other semi-adult rights, but they're not adults yet. Angle drops says, I wouldn't put my kids in public school anymore. I put all mine through a public school, but holy smoke, well, I have to rethink it today. Spirit of confusion, a few days. I knew teachers who would pay a kid to not leave them out of other kids they wanted to punch because, wow. Like I said, a lot of teachers are bullies. And that is paying somebody to do a hit. That is should be legal. People don't learn the joy in small things. So that is very true. They have expectations that can never be met, and it sets them up for failure. That's what breaks up a lot of our families today. I mean, we expect our mate is going to be better than smarter than Einstein and prettier or stronger, prettier than the prettiest model and stronger than Superman, and virtues like Moses. I don't know, what were Noah, Jesus Christ. We're humans. We all have shortfalls. A lot of them. We all got bumps, warts. It's part of the adventure of being human. Unfortunately, today we failed to appreciate that, to learn how to get along. If we don't learn to get along as a society, we're not going to survive. There's this thing about us learning to get along between each other. That's where we need to start. That's how we also learn to get along with other countries, cultures. You got to get along with the other cultures too. If we fail that, then we're going to have a war with somebody out there in another culture who's going to come up with a bug or device that's going to wipe us all out. That's the premise of my video, A Nuke in Every Pot. Check it out. It goes more in depth on that. Empty space. Kids are wired for wrong or right by the time they're 3. If they don't get good training by then, it's usually too late. Who's that? A lot of times we forget, well, they're just a kid. We don't have to do this. Boy, that's where you're messing up. Tough love. Like hardening off that plant before it goes out in the field. Maybe he wanted to get on the news and get famous. What a rough way to get famous. Well, it was worth it. He offed himself or somebody got rid of him. New days. Well, that's how I raised my son as a single mom. Tough love and good role models. That's important. There you go. Lucid Farms. Apathy and nihilism have taken over due to the weak will and conviction caused by cultural conditioning and the proximity environmentally. Yeah, that's all true. All true. Pray today. Get the fathers fixing society. Well, you know what? That don't mean we shouldn't help out too. And we all need to do our part. You see a job that can be done, do it. Somebody commented in my chat yesterday that God provides the worms for the birds, but he doesn't throw them in the nest. The birds got to do some work too. We got to do some work, guys. We're all part of it. I know you don't have to work to be saved, but you ought to work anyway. Work at what is needed. Yeah, murder is one of the 10 commandments. You're right, pray today. Can't give tough love anymore. You go to jail. Well, that's part of the whole problem of our system. We got to change that. Well, you can, but you got to be smart about it. Well, Arnold got a point about the Cree there. Never went to school and were happy, but then our society went down their throats, and so I went to heck in the handbasket. Kids need a nuclear family with morals, values, and integrity. That's right. Sophia, I agree, Greg. This one's very important. I raised my children to be independent, and they are all working and responsible. Very good. I'm hit the down arrow on this one so I can get the bottom. There we go. Sorry, the same kind of hung up. We're not doing enough with the immigrants. Give your home to an immigrant, says Pray Today. Well, I think Pelosi should be the first one to offer that up, or AOC. Do you ferment your chicken feed? No, I feed my chicken feed to worms. Kids grow up first watching their parents, and second, the neighborhood, and third, the big world of politics. Now, when the leaders are practicing evil, can you blame the kids? I get a point. But the kid, tough love is just having the boundaries, nothing else. Spike in electricity, you don't know, my mom can damage the hearts of the worms and kill them. I don't advocate that. You can also put a spot in the ground or take a tree sapling, cut it off, and with the stumps, they're going to rub a rasp across it, vibrate the ground, everything in the ground's coming up. Snakes and all. Tommy Bentley and Golden Comets, I guess. I don't know that one. Hiccups, good morning. Yeah, I ain't even been in bed. I got to go out with my micro instructor. I want to do a Galactic Dreads video tonight. I can't. I find time to do everything, guys. I used to have them long ago, not anymore. And never would let anyone eat them. What are we talking about, Rhonda? Melanie Lyon says worms will come up with electricity, but it does kill them within 24 hours. Yeah, you damage their hearts. You do that. It's not good for them. Pray today, love yourself and be free. 3 and 9, 121. Thank you, 3 and 9. Appreciate that. 121. All right, guys, I think we've gone long here. We've gone long. We've been on here for a while. Covered a lot of ground. We started talking about the divisions in our world. And what do we got? To the basic root core, the divisions in our family. And the divisions in our own souls. We're working on my worms, so I'm listening to you. Well, that sounds good, Tess. Good to hear that. 3 and 9. Good morning, GG. Guys, I have got to go out and water my microgreens, and I got to get ready to go to bed and start another day, work day tomorrow. I got to go in. Mr. Greg, so get some rest. There you go, North Shore. I got a lot to do still. All right, guys, we had a lot to cover tonight. It's been an important night. We had to come in from the heart with this stuff going on in the world today, this people acting out. We've got to get the root cause of it, and it's not nugs. It's in the hearts and minds of people. The hurting hearts, the mangled minds. We got to get the hurt out of the hearts and the mangle out of the minds. Sometimes that starts with a swat on the behinds. All right, guys. Got to take care of it before dangling on the vines. All right. You don't know me long. Good night, Greg and Billy the Kid. Good night, Greg. Worms are the best. There you go. All right, guys, girls. Y'all been with me here late here. Still 96 in the rain. Love is coming alive. So, you know what I always like to tell you at the end of these videos? Well, a couple things. One is good people in every hamlet, village of every race, color, and religion around the world. Don't ever forget that. It's bad people where you go to, but there's good people anywhere you go. But sometimes we got to reach out to them. The other thing I tell you is this. As light dispels dark, love dispels hate. You go out and shine your love light into the world. We can start this one smile at a time. Change this world. I totally believe it. But we got it cut out for us right now. We're in a tough place, guys. We're here 22 years for all this. We'll be okay. Stick together. Help each other. Amen to all that. Amen to all that. All right, guys. With that, I'm going to say a big hearty thank you for watching. Thank you, mods.